Morning, good morning. Welcome to If I Don't Tell You Who Will. My name is Nicole Flowers. I'm a career strategist here in San Francisco, and I am thrilled, like every week, to announce this week's guest to our little LinkedIn Live, Eric Wilson. I promise to not only have Pepperdine people on this, but Eric is one of my dearest friends from my time 20 years ago and has built an amazing career. I remember going to visit you, Eric, at Chiat Day in Los Angeles with all the cool stuff around. And now you're the chief marketing officer of CrossCountry Mortgage. Such a big
Yeah.
deal. He's a huge deal, you guys. But also, you Samsung, you've been all over the place. Eric, tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. So the last 23 years has been a journey. Obviously, I'm not going to go through my resume and all the places I've been, but the thing that I can say is I have always said yes. And saying yes for me has meant other opportunities and also other locations. So I am now in Cleveland, Ohio, by the way, of New York, LA, and some places in between, like DC and Nashville. And I think when you first met me and when you first saw my career getting started at Chiat Day, it was a very creative space. And that is where I knew I wanted to play.
I love that about you because it has been fun watching you go from place to place. What do you think saying yes has meant for your career? Do you think
Yep.
you've gotten bigger opportunities?
100%. I think for me, not only the positions that I've been in, but also most of the positions on my journey have been opportunities because I've crossed paths with different people at different points in time. And they said, oh, he'll move across country for something that's interesting, that's a little out of the box, that maybe isn't super defined. And there's an opportunity. The reason that I ended up here in Cleveland, Ohio, for example, is I worked with someone years ago, 15 years ago, and I always said, we're either going to start a business or we're going to end up working together again. And she knew that I loved trying new things, being in different places. I never thought I'd be in the Midwest. And with time, I feel like I've made that jump. I made a little bit of a jump up leveling myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's not only been career opportunity and location opportunity. And I also think network really held on to a network from every location that I've ever lived and been in. And I don't just say goodbye to those people when I leave. I really put a lot of time and effort into that as well.
So I think that is exceptionally important. Now you've been in Cleveland for 5 years,
5 years. Yeah.
cross country mortgage. And like you said, you've gone cross industry.
Automotive, all different areas. I've been brand side, agency side. Yeah.
Along with building this great portfolio career all over the country in different industries, you built great teams wherever you go. You invest there. What are some of the things you look for in people to then build a great cohesive ecosystem of a team?
Yeah. That's a great question. And thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. People are, I feel, the secret ingredient a lot of times. And many times when we're hiring teams here, we doubled the size of our team. We had about 40 people. Now we have almost 100 people. The way that we've been able to bring in different types of people, different backgrounds. So when a resume hits my desk that's already been through all of the other teams and individuals, I tend to look at people that haven't had the most linear approach to things. I'm very open to different industries. A lot of times in careers, and I totally respect it, people will stay in an area where they're very comfortable. I like seeing people that have different backgrounds. They could be CPG, then they could be technology, then they could be automotive, then they can start up their own thing. Or people that have side hustles and doing projects on the side while they're working. I think that's super interesting to me. For our business and just in marketing, advertising, creative space, you have to have this curiosity about you, a curious nature, especially now more than ever because the world is changing. So when I'm looking at a person, it isn't a secret sauce, it's a feeling. If I'm interviewing you, I'm not so much asking about your story, but I'm throwing situations at you and how would you handle them versus tell me about every little thing that got you to the place. I want more of a conversation. I want to understand how you deal with conflict, how you deal with resolution, how you deal with ambiguity. some of those things.
I want to know about AI and your thoughts on AI and marketing, hiring, when you're talking about creativity, when you're talking about curiosity. How does that show up in how you're looking at the next generation of marketers or the next generation of team members?
And in addition to that, and I'll answer your question, our team is going through those same questions. Our team is feeling the same things. Team that I'm working with every single day. So I think a lot of it has to come back to curiosity overall. There needs to be, it's not a rigid thing where you use it or you don't use it. I think you have to figure out how to implement it into your day to day life. In our world, in marketing, there is a lot of opportunity. Some people are saying you should have agents that build different things. I think there's a time and a place for agentic AI and workflow project management. I think there's a place for it with creativity. Our creative teams are using it for not only copy, but also visual identity and trying different things. And I think a lot of people get nervous about it. Honestly, there were months ago where it's like, I'm going to be replaced. You need certain people that will manage AI, but you can build agencies, you could build teams that are all AI. But at the end of the day, what I feel very comfortable with, and and it won't ever be replaced, is the personal connection. This right here, the conversation, our business right now, CrossCountry Mortgage, we are a retail business. So it's all about people, human connections. And even though we're adding in layers of AI and technology and trying different things, and a lot of it is try it, does it work, does it not work, tweak things here and there, but we're not out there like a lot of companies, and you're now seeing headlines, token usage and saturation and those types of things. You have to find the right time and place, but try things, be curious. We have an AI council in marketing that I sit on. I'm not in every meeting, but they present to us a lot of new technology. Every couple of weeks, we're seeing new things. And it's like, oh, this is cool. This is curious. Let's try it. And then sometimes those things go away. Sometimes we're implementing them. And in our business, specifically AI texting, phone calls, those types of, we're being curious with that as well. We had a lot of loan officers that did not want to have AI in their business. They thought it was not human, not appealing to people. And what we're actually finding when we're testing things, people are now open to it. People are trying different things. There's
No,
no right answer. And I think that's the exciting thing.
there's just so much stuff out there. I'm gonna lose my job to AI. And it's like, maybe, but there are also roles where we need you to be the manager of the agentic
Yes.
process or whatever. There are different things that you can move into, and being curious, AI is not going to go away.
Facebook back in the day or social media when it started or
Right.
computers, it was one of those things where we had to learn and adapt. This is much quicker, but we're all figuring it out together. And I think a piece of advice I've given to my team is don't focus on the headlines because headlines are headlines. They're trying to sell clicks. They're trying to sell the thing. So when you're seeing companies that are all AI now, or they're getting rid of people, and that is real, there are those things happening. But that's not everyone. There are thousands of companies out there doing things differently. So it's not always those top 50 companies that are garnering most of the headlines.
Absolutely. So I just love it. I just love a good debunk because it calms people down. I eat, breathe, sleep, live, career, resume, and people are like, no, but this is how it is. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
We can have these conversations. I'll direct them because, to your point, the media or just clickbaiters want us to be all riled up about stuff. And it's no. But the big thing, to your point, I'm hearing be curious and be creative about how you're implementing it and then have examples of how you can show that in an interview, on your resume, whatever. Right.
Yep.
So tell me, if we think about resumes, what makes you lean into someone? Now, to your point, I know by the time you get to somebody, it's gone through a whole bunch of people. Like, what do you encourage your team to look for in resume?
Yeah. I think diversity of experience, again, not always being so linear in a career trajectory. I think that's a little bit of me pushing myself out there. But I think people that have not just grown in I've gone from this position to this position, but those moments where it's like, there wasn't a thing that existed at a company, but I built the thing. So those words like I've built something from scratch, and it doesn't have to be the biggest, shiniest thing. You don't have to figure everything out, but it's that mentality that you can see when you're quickly scanning a resume that these people have had to deal, whether they say it or not, but racy charts, like who's responsible, who's accountable, who's being able to
Yeah.
organize those things in marketing is very important. So just having that mentality, and it's not staying at the same place forever. But again, if you stayed at the same place but had different opportunities and you've grown in different ways, I'm open to that.
I think that's also really great because so many people come to me and they're like, "I'm so nervous. I have what we're naming a portfolio career," right? They're doing different things and they're like, "I've done this and I've done that and I've been here, I've been there." It used to be like you stay at a company for 25 years and
Oh
that
yeah,
was like the tip your hat. And now business changes so quickly. And it's not, to your point, it's not bad if you do stay at a company for a long time,
one
but
hundred.
are you progressing? Are you taking on new projects?
Yeah,
Are you doing different things in your role? Are you stretching outside? Are you getting promoted? Those different things. So absolutely, you can create a whole portfolio career within one organization as well. But
yeah.
those skills are transferable. One of the questions I have are what qualities stand out before an offer is made, but I think we've touched on the curiosity, the creativity, the risk taking.
Energy. A lot of it is energy, and it's not showing up and being like us and feeding off. But there are so many times where people don't really realize where the interview starts. When people walk
Mm,
into our office, our people will tell us if they were rude to them, if they were just mumbling, if they didn't have that energy. And then when they're sitting in a room, are they lighting up when myself or someone else walks in, or are they still just closed? Because that's how they're going to interact with people I'm going to put them in front of. And they're a representation of our team and our company at the end of the day. I think energy is important. And it's one of those things that you can fake it if you have to, but also I don't think people realize how much chatter there is around interviews as well. If you do something, it is noticed.
yes. Okay. I love that you said it because we forget those things, but I always say everything communicate.
Mhm.
Everything communicates from how you format your resume to how you show up. And one of my favorite bosses, my hiring manager at Meta, actually, when I was hiring, gave me the best advice as I was hiring my team because she was like, "You do it, it's yours. Just remember that the energy someone brings into the room, multiply it by 10 for their
Yep.
day to day," which means if they're not that energetic, they're going to be 10 times less energetic in the day to day. They're spastic. They're going to be even more like crazy and wild and
Yeah.
chaotic. It helps you just see what is the right fit for the teams. Another question: how do leaders like you recognize potential beyond just experience?
I think it's how they answer a question. And
Mm,
I don't get bogged down because sometimes I can put myself in their shoes. I remember going through interviews and maybe not having the best answer at times, but how I tiptoed around something showed that I was answering what they ultimately wanted. And so flipping it back, me as the manager, hiring manager, looking at someone, I don't need everyone to have the perfect answer, the perfect approach. Not everyone has the same experience. But if you approach something in a way where I know there's curiosity, you're going to be able to deal with ambiguity, you're going to be able to pull people in with your
mm,
energy, or you're finding that win-win for everyone. Those are the types of things that I'm listening for. It's not the I did XYZ always. Sometimes it is the in between. And even if you fumble over an answer, like I'm doing right now,
oh, I
still
can't even tell. I can't
yeah,
even tell.
exactly. So you're still figuring out, you're filling the void with what I think they want to hear. And what I really do think it is it's being able to explain something so that it's like, oh yeah, they've got this, they'll figure it out. Cause the biggest thing for me is everyone thinks being a leader, and I think this is at every company. There's a strategy and the thing that we're going to all the time and it never changes. It's changing hour by hour, minute by minute. So are these people going to be able to come in and adapt and change with that and have the skill set to do that?
I love it. And yeah, see, I didn't even know that you were off script and you still nailed it. I talk to people who are interviewing and they're so nervous about saying all the right things and how much and not too much and all this kind of stuff. Another friend of mine, she was in HR and she would say, at this point, you're in the interview to see if you'll get along with the team. We know you can do the job. And if you can't do it, you'll figure it out the way we do it or we'll collaborate for the best way. We just want to know, will you fit with the team? Is it a culture fit? Are you able to grow? Do you know your growth areas? All those types of things. Okay, so we have a couple questions here. So we're going to go off script. I'm going
Yeah,
to
I love
say,
it.
if you had to choose, would you hire for skill or attitude? I know what I would
Attitude,
pick. Attitude.
100%.
Absolutely.
And the interesting thing there is when we were building this team and in other places of really strong candidates, they come in confidently, but then when you put that against someone else that maybe doesn't have that same pedigree or background where it's like, oh, I could let this person loose in our organization and they do really well, but this other person has longer term potential and there's probably growth opportunity with that too. So I think with attitude, you're looking at longevity, you're looking at, will this person be a team player for the long haul, not just for the current position they're in? Because a lot of times now I'm thinking about if I were to leave, and I'm not leaving, that's not breaking news at all. But if I were to leave, who could step into different teams? And I think you have to think about that with your own team and people reporting to you. Who is going to level up if I need to move someone over here or a new product starts and we have to create a new team? That happens all the time.
And I think that's just good leadership, whether you're going to leave or not. That also just helps you analyze and promote people's strength. If someone's really good
100%.
at something, okay, let's move them over here, or we can do this, or there's a shift, or we need to do this. Just analyzing every once in a while. If I weren't here, where would people excel?
I actually are offset for my direct reports this year. We did Strength Finder and I had a lot of people read that, do their assessment. And now I think it's more openness to it. But a lot of times it was the gaps, where are you deficient? What are you doing wrong? But if you focus on your strengths and what you're doing correctly and you have the charisma, you're going to bring up the team dynamic.
Mhm.
Where can we see you're pulling your strengths and how can we all come together and work from each other? I have a very diverse current team, which I love, and they all have each other's backs in different ways. And it's fascinating when we talked about Strength Finder, light bulb moments went off. And I think it's
Yeah.
one of those books that everyone should look at as well.
And I think I learned from StrengthsFinder that strengths are not always things we're good at.
Oh,
Everyone thinks I'm really good at painting nails, so I should always be the one painting.
yeah.
It could be things that I'm really excited about, I'm
Mhm.
curious about, I'm ready to get better at. So don't be limited to just this is what I'm good at.
Other things, and how do you infuse that into the work that you're currently doing?
Absolutely. I do want to ask, as we're thinking about the market, AI, interviewing, resumes, in the next 30 days, what is something someone can do to just, I don't know, whether it's get prepped for an interview or I'm trying to think about how to phrase the question relating to
Okay.
teams,
Yeah.
is what would they focus on?
This is going to sound weird because all the things that you offer, I feel like are the things people should already be doing. So I'm not going to focus on some of those things. The resume, the coaching, I would focus on the softer skills, the soft areas, prepping those questions,
Mm.
thinking about what are the intriguing questions to ask at the end of an interview, but really target companies that you would be interested in and finding people at intersections. We're obviously on LinkedIn now, so we love it for a lot of reasons, but it's
Yeah.
different connections, but taking things off of LinkedIn and finding those connections, having coffee with people that know other people. How do you grow your network in an organic way? I think it's super important.
You know what? And at the end of the day, most of my LinkedIn Live guests say a similar thing, which is people.
Yeah.
Whichever way it is. You don't have to go to a networking event and put a name tag on. But how are you cultivating relationships? To your point, your career has soared and gone all in different places. You've reconnected with someone from a decade before
Yep.
because you kept those not and it, again, I think that people have this bad view of networking because it feels smarmy. Do it when you don't need anything.
Can I drop in a little Eric nugget? I tell everyone that I've career coached before, own a holiday, own a moment in time. It could be St. Patrick, it could be Valentine's Day, it could be any day of the year, but own that holiday and reach out to everyone. And it's not for something. It's, hey, here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm doing. I'd love to hear from you. And that's all it has to be. And it makes it organic. So it doesn't feel forced. It's a moment where you're top of mind and they're looking forward to hearing from you.
Now, here's a question I have for you. We're still going over time, but I do have a lot of introverted clients.
I consider myself, if you look at, we're looking at another thing, I am an introvert extrovert on the Myers. So
Mhm.
even though I can present extroverted, I'm going to go home tonight, read a book, sit in a corner to get that charge back up because this takes a lot out of me. In interviews, it's interesting. Like, I don't show up best way. I actually get very nervous. I'm okay with that. I know that about myself. I have prepared myself over the years. I'm much more, I think, a little bit more polished than I have been over time. But I think you just show up your authentic self, and people will see that more than you trying to be the thing that you will need. And I think that's also for introverts. If you're just showing up and being yourself and you're being authentically yourself, people can read that.
That is so beautiful and lovely, and I think it's so true. And actually, before we go here, we have Sugita says, "Is there such a thing as being too polished in an interview?" And I feel like you just answered it as be
Yeah.
authentic.
Didn't even realize that was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I've been
Support.
there. We've all been
Yeah.
there. And it's
All been there.
also, I think, like, talk about. You don't have to talk about it to everyone, every place. But I think when I got laid off from Samsung years ago, there was like 25 of us, and it was every 3 years. I feel like they clean house. I actually had really good conversations after that because the openness and you realized all these other people had. I know
Yeah.
you're not teeing up that question for me, but it's like I just want people to know you can talk about that and feel safe with people. You can talk about that and it's not a mark against you. I think it is just inevitable that most go through that in one way or another.
When we're thinking about networking, because we think very in a box about networking. The way that we look at networking the same way, which is build a community. If you move to
Mhm.
a new city, you have to go to places to find new friends because you can't
Yep.
sit alone in your apartment all the time.
Work at the coffee shop.
Yeah, work in a coffee shop, talk to people. If we just talk about it like building a community of souls, then it makes it much more like, oh, I can do that. That's just living life. That's
Yeah.
just like being thoughtful for other people. And then you realize that you have this whole army behind you that will support you in finding your next job,
Yeah.
introducing you to new friends if you move, give you recommendations for whatever trip they took last year, whatever it might be, right?
Yes.
And like you said, it takes 10 minutes. I'm in my thank you note writing era. I used to write notes all of the time. I'm just like writing letters. And yeah, it takes 5 minutes.
It actually feels good. It also is good, I think, honestly, for your soul, for your life, where you see that you're putting something physically out there in the world.
Eric has given you so many good nuggets. I'm not surprised. I'm thrilled by this conversation. There's no other way to end it. Think about how you want to build your community this week, next 2 weeks, the next month. It's all part of the job search process. It's all part of your career process. I want to say, you know what? Not even career process, like a healthy life. A healthy
Yeah.
life includes caring about people well, reaching out to them, being inquisitive, being curious, and seeing how we can make fruit grow from all that tilling of the soil. So, thank you all for coming. I'm very excited to have had Eric today. And we will see you next week for another episode of If I Don't Tell You Who Will. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.